Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday. Today's Monday. We are November 21st, going in the United States, into our week of giving thanks that is celebrated as Thanksgiving. So, our live this morning is, I think, appropriate considering the week we're moving into, which is around Thanksgiving. A lot of people in the United States get together, families get together, people celebrate together. And this topic around pain, around the cost of avoiding pain, around what kind of pain are you experiencing in your life, and how long must we hold on to pain before we are free of pain? So, welcome. I'm so happy to see you. I see that some of you are here. I'm going to turn on my comments. Hey, good morning. Sabi is here from France. We have someone from France. Sabi is here usually every week. She is a creative leadership coach who graduated from our program. I guess it's 2 years ago now already. Welcome, Sabi. And by the way, it is Sabi's birthday today. So, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Sabi. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome. So, any others who are here live and want to say a little hello, please write in the comment section. This is the reason I do these. I call them circles of creation, circles of connection, so that we might have a place to land and discuss topics in relationship to mind body alignment. So every week I introduce a theme. I do that on Thursday morning. My video newsletter that you receive gives you a little teaser, a little insight into what we will be exploring the following week, which is the Monday morning live. So welcome. Yes, I'm so happy that you're here. Hey, Sophia. So we have France in the house. We have Italy in the house. Good morning and welcome. If any of you are showing up right now, please do say hello in the comments section. I want to invite you to interact with me. This is why I am doing these lives on these topics that are, I think, important for us to touch base with. And so this is the Duchenne Method live Q&A that I do every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And here is where I attempt to demystify the mind-body connection for you to achieve optimal health. And so you might use these tools in your own life. So essentially, I would like to share with you how to fish and not just give you a fish, that story. So if we learn how to process, how to deal with some of these mind-body alignment issues that show up in our lives, why do we get anxious? How, for example, today, we're going to talk about the cost of avoiding pain. And the way that I do it, this year I've branded myself, so I'm calling it the Duchenne Method. And the Duchenne Method is really it involves a proprietary system that includes acknowledgement, engagement, and support. And this is what I want for us to do here together. You are invited into acknowledging, engaging, and supporting yourself first and foremost, and then with others in the group, so that you might communicate, express your perspectives, practice the art of mindful communication right here. By the way, the art of mindful communication is one of the courses that I am offering as of 2023. I'll talk more about that moving forward. And this is why I want us to have these sacred circles of creation, of connection, so that we might learn how to express difficult things in a mindful manner. Good morning. We have Liane. Liane G is here. I'm so happy you're here, Liane. Welcome. So we have Italy in the house. We have France in the house. We have the Caribbean in the house. Liane, you have to remind me exactly where in the Caribbean you are finding yourself. Thank you so much for being here. Anyone else here who wants to say hello, please, little comment, say hi, good morning. Join us in the conversation. With no further ado, Martinique. Thank you, Liane. That's wonderful. Live from New York City. Who is it live from New York City? Tell us your name. I'm not seeing you here. I don't know why. If you signed in with StreamYard, I should be able to see your name, but for some reason, somebody's here from New York City. Oh, Elise, Elise, Elise. Awesome. Thank you, Elise. Thank you for saying hello. Thank you for being here. All right, without any further ado, hi, good morning, Steph Fitro. Yes, no worries, Steph. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome. So I'm going to go right into it. I'm going to dive right into this week's topic, which is the cost of avoiding pain. And the way I want to start is to bring you into a little bit of alignment, around where you might have heard some stories in your life about a person or people who relentlessly worked their booties off to overcome impossible odds and unimaginable struggles. Maybe that this person or these people that you've heard about were born into poverty. Maybe they have some physical or mental disorder that puts them at a huge disadvantage. Maybe they suffered a traumatic event or two, or maybe 10. And maybe you know someone like this. Well, the thing is about those types of people, you've heard or you might know, they just never quit. In fact, they have an uncanny ability to laugh it off and get on with it. They just get on with their lives. It's the stuff of motivational speeches, right? It's what you hear people talk about. On the other hand, you might also have known someone in your life who crumbles into pieces when the slightest thing goes wrong. Maybe you know someone who, no matter what they do, things never seem to work out. And maybe that person is you at times. Things just don't seem to work out. It's fascinating when you think about it. One person can fight through unthinkable challenges without complaining. They just keep going. And then another person seems to be perpetually in the ruins of life. How does that happen? How do some people seem to continually move through life, even though all these odds come at them and they still keep moving forward? And then there are other people who cannot handle the slightest controversy, the slightest hit. How does that happen? Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip. Here's the unpleasant truth. At some point in our lives, we all deal with trauma. We all deal with struggle. We all deal with hardship. And we've all had that experience of summoning up the courage or strength, to try and persevere. I'm going to get through this. You watch a video or you read that book or you talk to the friend and you think, okay, this is it. Today, I'm going to turn it all around. But then you get smacked in the face by reality. And I'm wondering if there are any people here who might have had that experience where you said, I'm moving forward, things are moving along, I signed up for this program, I'm getting invigorated, everything seems to be going well, and then, pow, you get smacked in the face with either illness, somebody dies in your family, something horrible happens at work, you might lose your job. Anybody have that experience in life? I know I did. Just when you thought you psyched yourself up with all the positive thoughts, reality finds another way to disappoint you. And just when you think you've overcome your heartbreak and baggage, then another person comes along and hurts you. Just when you feel like you've finally gotten the motivation to get your proverbial shit together, life throws you another curveball. It feels as though nothing works. Nothing is ever enough. And this is what I was inviting you to consider in my video newsletter last week. It's what's the possibility that the pain and the setbacks are actually the path to a more fulfilling life, to a more meaningful life. How many of you? Yes. Yes, Elise, I do mean like emergency abdominal surgery. So, by the way, thank you for sharing that, Elise. Elise recently, very much unexpectedly, had abdominal surgery out of nowhere, right, Elise? So thank you for saying that. Exactly what I mean. So you get hit, right, from all different sides. This is not a small thing to have to be rushed to the hospital for abdominal surgery, emergency abdominal surgery. So whenever we think we have it really bad, I want you to consider the possibility of others also going through a really hard time, and how from there, how do we rebuild our resiliency? And Elise, I'd love to hear your comments about that, how you have resolved, moved through this period of you having an emergency surgery. What was it that got you out of it, that you were resilient enough, for example, to be here, that you're participating, that you went through the healing process somehow, and that you're still here on this page every week, supporting and interacting? The practice is understanding how this curveball creates opportunities. Beautiful. It's exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Elise. And notice, yeah, and being extremely grateful for life. So when we're hit, the practice, I love that you wrote that, Elise. The practice is understanding how this curveball creates opportunities and extremely grateful for life. Isn't it interesting that we get really grateful for life when we are actually knocked down? Like sometimes that's what it takes, right? You get really sick, or I know when I got sick with COVID last December, I had never been that sick, right? It was a very strange thing for me. And what happens is that you become so humbled and you shift your perspective, because you have a choice at that point. You have a choice to either stay in bed and not get up, or you choose to get up. You choose to be resilient. And actually, before you can get up, what starts to happen is you have to lay in bed a little bit longer. You have to heal. And that's the part that can be so difficult, because for most of us, we don't like to be sick. We don't like to be in bed. We want to immediately get up and move on with our lives. And the truth is that the pain is present. We must go through the pain. We all hear it. We all kind of know it conceptually. And then when it actually occurs, and I know that some of you on this call have experienced pain in your life. Personally, I know you personally. I know that life has been tough for you at times. And so today, the invitation is to really look at, what is the cost of avoiding your pain? What is the cost of avoiding, pretending like it's not there? And a big part of my work, what starts to happen is that I start to see it show up in people's bodies. So people who come to see me at my office in Manhattan for body alignment work, right? So literally doing some hands-on healing work, people start to store up all of this pain that is not processed, that is being avoided. And that is a huge cost to what could potentially be transformed into passion. And I'm going to get into that a little bit in a second. Take a lot for granted until it's on the verge of being taken away. Isn't that right? We do that with our health, don't we? Thank you so much. We take a lot for granted until it's on the verge of being taken away. Thank you. I feel that the cost of avoiding pain is that it becomes a wider tsunami. Yeah, beautiful. Tell me, put your name in parentheses. I'm not sure who wrote that, but that's exactly right. I feel that the cost of avoiding pain is that it becomes a wider tsunami. Sabi, thank you. I saw that you had written that. That's exactly right. So it's this, the number one, and I think I shared this with you last week, the number one component of why we continuously feel pain in our lives, and I'm talking mind, body, spirit, emotional pain in our lives. Do you know what the number one cause of it is? Give me a few guesses. Let's see. Sabi, you basically said it. What is the number one cause that prevents us from experiencing what we're experiencing, getting in touch with our feels, with our emotions, connecting? I'm going to let you think about that one for a moment. And I want to move on a little bit to how to deal with these setbacks, because it's easy to say that we have experienced pain, and I'm talking to you about processing pain and so forth, but there are ways to deal with these setbacks. Elise, fear. Yeah, fear is definitely one of them. The number one, though, that has been actually data driven, scientifically data driven, is not fear, although I know that fear is one of them. It's avoidance. Avoidance. We are so great at avoiding listening to our bodies, listening to how we're feeling, listening to our emotions. You know, how many of you on this call, and I know that you know this, either you have been in a relationship. I think this is a prime example. You've been in a relationship and you just know that it's not the right relationship for you. But he, she, they are so, they're still so lovely. And is it because I'm not really working hard enough? Maybe I need to explore more options to make this work. Maybe that maybe I'm not right in how I'm feeling. So we start to doubt ourselves. How many of you have doubted yourself to the point where you didn't acknowledge the pain? You avoided the pain. And of course, as Sabi says, it becomes a greater tsunami. I know it's happened to me. So how do we deal with setbacks? And I wrote that in my newsletter last week. The way you handle the struggles in your life has everything to do with the stories you tell yourself about pain. Thanks, Elise. Yeah. It's about the stories you tell yourself about pain. What are the stories you tell yourself about pain? Write in the comments. What are the stories that you tell yourself about pain? That it'll go away, that it'll disappear, that I don't have to deal with it, that I can't help it because this is my family environment. I can't help it because the other person is not communicating with me. The other person, it's their fault. In how many ways do you tell your stories? What type of stories do you tell yourself about your pain, about where you're being stuck? Please share in the comments. It's so helpful for all of us when you share in this way. So here's something I've noticed between people who, quote unquote, get it, from people who have a tendency towards, people who tend to get it, who tend to understand and process the stories of the pain. What tends to happen is that they tend to be action takers when they run into an obstacle, meaning they try to figure out responses to their avoidance. They look for areas where they might get support, how they might get through it. It's an action-based resolution. Sabi shares part of how she deals with it is, Sabi says, the story she tells herself is, it's okay, it's going to pass. So instead of dealing with it, you say, it's okay, it's going to pass. Thank you. Oh, Elise, this is interesting. Elise says, I deserve it. So that's interesting because there's a component in that one, Elise, and I'm looking at my different screen, okay? So just know that I'm paying attention. I deserve it. That's interesting because I deserve it. I think what I'm hearing sounds like a self-punishment approach. And for some of us, we have a tendency to punish ourselves. Oh, good. Yes, Elise, I see. Elise said fear. When I asked before, the cost of avoiding pain is fear. And then Elise moves on to say, but why do I avoid it? I think I avoid it because I'm afraid of the pain. I love that. That's interesting, Elise. What comes first, the chicken or the egg, the pain or the avoidance? That's a good one to explore. Stories from Sabi. If I focus on the pain, it might become bigger than it is. Ah, excellent insight. If I focus on the pain, it might become bigger than it is. That reminds me of some superstitions that I've heard around people in my life who will say, "Oh, Anne Marie, don't say that it's going to work out perfectly. You're jinxing it." Have you ever heard somebody said that? Like you're jinxing it by saying everything is going to work out. More. Lian says, I must have done something wrong to deserve that. Ah, most of the time, what is the lesson behind? Why don't I see when I'm stuck? Lian, I love the first part. I wonder where this comes from. I must have done something wrong to deserve that. There's another punishment back there, the same way that I am seeing a little bit with the comment from Elise. Do you feel that self-punishment is a way that you deal with your stories around avoiding pain? Yes, claiming the victim role is a pattern. Yes, we all have our victims. Our victims are really strong. And one of the ways that we can deal with our victims, everyone, is to literally sit with that part of yourself and have a conversation with it. Sabi learned about this for sure in our coaching program. We had entire exercises around how to sit with our victims and have conversation. It's also sitting with your little girl, your little boy. You sit with that part of you and you have a conversation with that part of you. That is so important as a practice, because that's how you start to slowly unravel the cost of the stories you're telling yourself around your pain. We all have pain. We're not bad people because we have pain. And I know that moving into a conversation with our pain can bring up fear. So I totally agree about that. And still, yet, how can we move beyond it? How can we move with the setbacks? And one of the things that I found is that people who take action into, like this, like today, like us talking about it, like having this exchange together, people who take action around questioning, looking, deepening, having contemplation around the stories they create around their pain, tend to move through it. They tend to find different ways, blind sides that we all have. It's in taking action into the discovery process of looking deeper into our pain that we can move through it. Yeah, so one of the notes I took is that when you're actually exploring into it, it's a call to action. You're really bringing yourself into doing something about the level of pain you're experiencing. So on the other hand, right, if you tell yourself that pain is to be avoided, then you're a lot less likely to take any action whatsoever. And what happens then is that the pain starts to accumulate and gets pushed down, and eventually it shows up in your body. And a lot of this, I'll tell you, is subconscious. We're not always conscious of it. So this is a very important point. And here's why. In the work that I do, processing trauma through the body, it's sometimes hard to admit to ourselves that we're having physical ailments because we have repressed pain. We don't want to admit to ourselves that we might have physical ailments based on the fact that we're avoiding or have avoided pain. It's difficult. And this is why I want to bring this in a loving and kind and compassionate way. This is why I've developed that invitation into acknowledgement, engagement, and support. That's why I created that system, so to speak. It's just 3 words, but there are 3 words that will help you to move through the stories of your pain and everything else we talk about mind-body alignment-wise, that will help you move through it with more compassion, with more love. The more challenging is being patient and gentle with that pain. Exactly. Thank you. We are so on the same page. Thank you, Leanne. Exactly. Sabi says, when I face pain, it helps me to breathe into it and to create something out of it, writing or something else. Yes, thank you. Also, it helps me to allow myself to cheer me up internally and allow myself to cry if I feel like it. So, processing pain through emotional expression, crying, screaming, hitting a pillow. Make sure you're hitting a pillow, right? That you're not hitting anything else. Having the possibility to express yourself fully, self expression, because a lot of the time, pain is a repression of your passion. I'm going to repeat that. Pain shows up in your body as a repression for your passion. So, for example, if you're doing something in life, if you have a job or an occupation or you're in an environment where you are not being fulfilled, you are repressing a part of you, your passion, your capacity to express yourself fully, so that whatever that is, and sometimes we don't know what that is because we're so used to being in a structure. We're so used to being kept in a box, to doing the same things every day. Why? For the stories of having to make money, of having to look a certain way, of having to fit in into our subconscious societal obligations. All of these pieces are so important for us to take a moment to pause gently by acknowledging, engaging, and supporting ourselves. In this way, we can slowly start to pull back the layers of pain. And I want to go back to what I shared about how difficult it can be to admit to ourselves that we have bypassed or avoided pain, and that all of a sudden something shows up in our body where we're sick or we don't feel well or we have a immune disorder condition. And it's not about self-blame. I want to be super clear. These are about layers of subconscious pain that show up throughout our lives. And it can be from this life, and from my research and my line of study, it can come from past lives. It's an energetic transmission over time, generationally, that sometimes we become the carriers. We're kind of the chosen one to shift the norm in our families, to be the trauma trigger, the one that has the opportunity to shift the lineage, the generational trauma that we experience. It helps me to breathe, leaning into the pain, breathing through it, letting it move through my body and find release, whatever that looks like. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Elise shared that. Thank you, Elise. I appreciate it. So I want you to take a moment to really check in with yourself and to see, is there anything, and you don't have to share it if you don't want it, of course, but if you do share it, it helps the entire group to really take a moment and to think about, is there any unprocessed pain in your body that you might want to tap into today without making yourself wrong? Take a moment and just tap into that, because I know for me, there's definitely some pain that I am still processing. And the more gentle I am with myself and the more I take action, like this is one way to take action for many reasons, but to be in community and to share with others is really helpful in allowing us to process our pain, to slow down and to look at the cost of avoiding it. And so how it shows up in our lives, one more. I feel that sometimes that there is sadness and inner guilt not to feel able to be totally healthy. Yeah, thank you. That's exactly right. There is guilt around feeling sick, about not being totally healthy. Sometimes that's what'll show up. We start to feel guilty about it. Why am I the one who tends to fall down or get hurt? Sometimes you might be clumsy. Maybe you're someone who tends to fall down and you might be clumsy. And why does this happen to me? Why can I not be fully healthy? Why can't I be strong? I'm finding that my pain is buried under my anger. Oh, wow. I'm just looking here. I'm finding that my pain is buried under my anger. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Elise. Super important comment. I am finding that my pain is buried under my anger. Or my anger is buried under my pain. So I invite you to sit with that and to figure out which is it. They're not the same. They're not the same. Your pain buried under your anger or your anger buried under your pain, they're two different things. And so I invite you to really sit with that and see what is naturally the first that will float up to the surface around this. Excuse me. As Zen Master Joan Halifax says, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. We've all heard this. So I want to share with you a few insights as to what's possible for you to look at what we can do, how to successfully navigate these transitions in our life, to shift our focus from feeling the guilt, the shame, the anger. And I mean, shift our focus in the context of this conversation today, not in your life. What I do want to invite you with your life is to sit with the pain. There's something really, really helpful about sitting quietly with the pain and to allow it to show up. So sometimes one of the exercises that I'll do with my clients is that I will take them into a process where we're sitting with the pain, and then I invite them to let the pain bubble up a little bit more. Not so that they get re-traumatized, but just to increase the sensation of a particular pain or anger, right? So let's say you have anger, you're angry about something in your life. What we'll do together, I will take you through a process. We're going to augment the sensation just a little bit so that you might get in touch with it a little bit more clearly. And that's a very important skill to develop because you don't want to go into a fully re-traumatization. So it's done with much care and much focus. And what we do is that as we sit with the arising sensations, there is information there that we can tease out, because your pain, your anger, your guilt, your feeling inadequate, your self-punishment, all of those have important information to share with you. The pain is part of my sadness. The pain is part of my sadness, and I often find my sadness is underneath the anger. Yes, correct. It's easier for me to be angry than to sit with the pain. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, you guys, thank you so much for being, yeah, thank you. I love that heart. Yeah. Hey, Carmela, hi. Thank you for being here. Nice to have you with us. Nice to have you with us. Thank you. So yeah, Elise, the pain is part of my sadness, and I often find my sadness is underneath the anger. This is 100% what I've experienced too, Elise. It's easier for me to be angry than to sit with the pain. How many of you can relate to that? Put a 1 in the comment. How many of you can relate to being, it's easier to be angry than to sit with the pain? Leanne writes, letting go and not acting, just observe, accept the change is the pain for me. Ooh, yes. Thank you, Leanne. That is deep. Accepting the change is the pain for her. Wow. Isn't that the truth? How many of you have a hard time accepting change? Right? Leanne writes, I can relate, Elise. It's easier to let the pain out with the anger. Yeah, thank you. Sophia writes, I find myself in a place at the moment where I feel I can't fully express and express fully and freely who I am, and that leaves me unenergized and creates pain. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, for writing that in. This is deep, Sophia. So who else can relate? I find myself in a place at the moment where I feel I can't express fully and freely who I am, and that leaves me unenergized and creates pain. So Sophia, without going into detail, right? Because I understand the privilege of having this interaction. So thank you for writing that. And then, of course, we want to sit with ourselves as if we're in that situation, right? Why can you not fully express yourself as who you truly are? What's happening in your environment? And these are rhetorical questions you can share, but also I just want to offer it for the whole group, myself included, right? When we get to, I call this, Sophia, being between a rock and a hard place. How can, you're between a rock and a hard place. There's no flexibility. There's no movement there. How is that possible? How is it that you can't fully express and freely feel who you are? And you're right. If you can't fully express yourself, you are going to feel unenergized. And of course, that's going to create pain. So we go back a little bit and we start to tap into why. What's happening in your life right now that you're feeling that you cannot fully express yourself? And I would be ready to bet that you know exactly why. Sometimes it requires for us to sit and to listen. And I want to invite you into something. Stephanie, I feel stuck and sad. I'm very much cut off from passion, creativity, joy of life. Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing that. You feel that now. You're stuck and sad. You feel very much cut off from passion, creativity, joy of life. So again, like Sophia, my sense is you. Bonjour, Karine. Hi, my love. My niece is here with us. Bonjour, ma chérie. Yeah, so Stephanie, to go back, you know why you're feeling stuck and sad. And remember what I just shared with you in terms of how we move through. One of the ways that we can move through the cost of avoiding pain, not dealing with it, is to take action, a small action. For example, Stephanie, you being here today with us, you being able to share in this circle of creation, and gently, lovingly, kindly, with acknowledgement, with personal engagement, and with personal support, and with the support of this group, being able to ask for support, to start to identify, to break down why are you feeling stuck? Why can you not express? Why are you feeling very much cut off from life? And we all go through that at some point or another. The idea is that we want to be able to move ourselves out of that stage, correct? Because if we don't, then we get disconnected from life altogether. So what are some of the tools that might help us to move through this? I want to invite you to consider the following. What if you could move out of these painful situations and have a sense of purpose in your life? A sense of purpose that helps you to appreciate the pain. What if these big issues and problems and sensations in your body of being cut off from the joy of life, what if we were able to break them up into smaller, more manageable problems so that it's not the entirety of your life? Because let's face it, honestly, it's really hard to deal with stuff when they're on such a huge scale. So what if, Stephanie, for example, we could start to break them down in smaller chunks? Might that be helpful? How might you make better choices to improve your personal situation that most people won't even consider? So I'm inviting you here. I'm inviting you into a deeper exploration of this. I'm inviting you into a challenge with me, to come with me and to do this together and to consider options that are not usually considered, that other people wouldn't consider, because there might be a little bit more daunting. They might be the opening of the heart center. And in order to do that, we want to do that in a trusted circle of creation like this one. Also, what would it be like to separate the inescapable pain of life from the added suffering that you, that I create in our minds? Remember, we're going back to the stories. So much of the pain that we create in our lives is attached to the stories we tell ourselves. So let me pause for a moment here. There's a lot of comments. Thank you so much for sharing all of your comments. I love you for it. Yeah. Can appreciating pain can cause an addiction to its benefits? Can appreciating pain cause an addiction to its benefits? It's a great question. I'm not sure I'm fully understanding it, Sabi. So if you want to elaborate a little bit, I would really appreciate. Can appreciating pain cause an addiction to its benefits, to the benefits of appreciating pain? Give me a little bit more, Sabi. Break it down for me in smaller pieces. Okay, so before we end our call today, I want to take you into action. Okay, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for your amazing interactions. I love you. Really, I really do. And I really appreciate you for sharing, for breaking yourselves open. I want to invite you into a new tool this week, or maybe it's not a new tool. Maybe you know this already. However, what you're sharing is really profound, and there's a place for you to shift around that. There's a place for you to start to take small, manageable actions to really honestly look at where you are in your life right now. So the first tool is to be honest with yourselves. Please take the time after our session today, after our call today, take the time to sit and to write this out. Like, be brutally honest with yourself, brutally and lovingly honest with yourself, right? So first, I want to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge you for being here. And I want to invite you to acknowledge yourself for being here and for writing so much incredible information so that we might share together and support one another. Please acknowledge yourself for the time that you're here. Please take the time to write down. Let the creative process move through you. And I want to offer you a website that is helpful. I do this every morning. 750 words, 750words.com. It's a website that you go and you write 750 words per day. The challenge is for you to go on this website and to do kind of a brain dump. And that's what I'm inviting you to do around your situation, to please do a brain dump around it. 750words.com. It's a website where they have, you write 750 words and then you get little badges of acknowledgement as you move along and you show up and you write. So that's one tool that I want to invite you into. The second tool I want to invite you into as you write is to please start to chunk down the issues that you are confronted with in your life. So instead of looking at the huge totality of the issues, of the problems, of the challenges that are facing you, please chunk them down, make them smaller, deal with one piece at a time. I am unable to comment. Let's see. I am unable to comment. I'm not sure who that is, but clearly you can, since I can read this. Received a community standards block. Who is this? Just write in parentheses, who is this? I'm sorry. I can't see. Oh, Elise, is that you? It's Elise, yeah. Well, you can still comment because I see you commenting. Received a community standards block. Not sure what that is, love. I will take a look at it after our call. I'm sorry about that, Elise. I apologize. But I still can see you, though. I can see that you are commenting. Yep, she says, they must not have liked what I posted. I don't know. But I can still see you. So I think it's just something that you're getting on your end. Okay. I'm sorry about that, Elise, but I can still see you, so you can still comment. All right, so to wrap it up, I want to invite you in a few possibilities moving forward. So if you're in a transition, and sometimes it's not so much a transition, but it's this kind of irking feeling that's been with you, sitting with you. And sometimes it can be with us for most of our lives. You know, it's a predisposition. Somehow that's how we are in life. Please, first and foremost, to be super, super kind and loving to yourself. That is the most important tool. 1, be super kind and loving. 2, 750words.com. Start writing, brain dumping every day. Let your emotions flow. Practice the flow. If there's anger, if there's sadness, if there's confusion, start to practice writing. 750words.com. It's a free app. It's a free website, and it really is fun because you can monitor how much you write, and also you get little badges of recognition. So that's the acknowledgement part, right, in that practice. Third, most important, please step away from the big, huge monster. Break down these emotions, these parts of you that you're confronted with, break them down into smaller chunks. And you know, you can always communicate with me via email. You can send me your comments. You can write on our group page here, the Duchenne Method Facebook group page. And share what you're going through. Share your process. Share how these tools might be able to alleviate and to help you moving forward. And the truth is, this is not rocket science. This is not anything you haven't heard before. However, have you done it? And furthermore, we need to repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Goodness knows I'm constantly rinsing and repeating. This is for all of us. It doesn't just show up in one day. You know, that big miracle, all of the fables, all of the stories, Disneyland stories, they're so great for us to experience for a moment. Most of them are not real. They might have elements of reality in them, but this is not life. Life is hard overall, is it not? Life is hard overall. So how do we choose to move forward in acknowledging, working with, being with, sitting with, from a heart of compassion with our issues, with our hurts, with our pain? So if this was helpful, please write a 1. If this was helpful, write a 1 in the comment. Let me know. Is this helpful to you? And is there something else you would like for me to bring up as a topic? Also, write from me. You can send me an email. You know where to find me, artofalignmentacademy.com. That's my website. You can leave a comment for me there. You can send me an email from artofalignmentacademy.com. I'm here every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern time without fail. We are moving into Thanksgiving weekend or week in the United States. Please take care of your heart. Take care of yourself. Please be kind to yourself. I also I only have a couple of VIP coaching slots available between now and the end of the year. So if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, reach out to me. You can you can sign up for a 30-minute consultation. That's free. You can just sign up for a free 30-minute consultation. If you know anyone who might benefit, your mom. Hey, listen, here's the thing. I want you to, I'm gonna throw a beautiful challenge to you out there. You know, those with whom you might be having those tense moments, those people that might be causing pain in your life, invite them. That's why this is here. Invite them. This is free, right? This is a huge mind body alignment processing event every week. Invite people on this page. Invite them to be here so that they might start to hear and shift and potentially learn differently. I know it's a big ask because you don't want your close ones to be here, right? This is your place of safety. I also get that. If it feels safe to you, invite people to join us. If you know people who might benefit from this, invite them to join us. All right. Am I forgetting anything? If you're in New York City, you are already invited. I'm having a party on December 18th. More to come. You're invited as my client, as my friend, as someone who is here on this page. I'm going to be sending out the invitation very soon. I know that Elise will be with us because Elise is in New York City. I'm so excited. So December 18th. And then I have more courses that will be coming up in 2023 where you might be able to join. I'm going to create a monthly membership where people come in and sit in circle just like this. But it's going to be a membership only type of situation so that we can go deeper into these topics. You can find me artofalignmentacademy.com. You can invite people to sign up for my video newsletter. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Art of Alignment Academy. It really helps me to get my word out there, to get the algorithms moving. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Helpful and scary. Yes, who wrote that? Is that you? I love you, Stephanie. I think that might be Stephanie. Who wrote helpful and scary? You're amazing. Yeah, it is Stephanie. I love you. Thank you for that. Good. Right? We have to face our fear. Beautiful. So helpful, Sophia. Thank you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you to the person celebrating it. Sabi, Lian, it's okay to feel pain. We have to trust the process. Love and light to you all. Thank you. Lucky, Elise, the Paula to be in New York City. Yes. Thank you. I love you. Kisses. Many, many blessings. I will see you next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you.